Alright, my brain is fried, so let's talk about mind uploading, because why not? It's not like I can plug you in and just get the things in my head out there without having to talk and record and whatever. I was gonna review Dexter, but after looking through chats with a friend, it's just, I can't even. So, mind uploading! This is one of those things that, like, I feel like a lot of people don't really get what it means. It's like, wouldn't it be great to just plug your brain in, upload your mind, and then live forever? That's not really how it works. It's not really mind uploading. It's mind copy-pasting, and then hoping that the infrastructure actually functions in a way similar enough to your brain to continue the processes. But what do I mean? What do I mean? If you upload your mind, you're actually just taking a copy of you now and putting that copy onto a machine. You're not actually like the thing that a lot of sci-fi and a lot of people talking about seem to get mixed up is it's not that your consciousness is being transferred. You're just uploading a copy. Now that copy will probably think it's been transferred, but the flesh version of you is still going to exist. So now you're in two places at once, and wasn't there a movie, was it The Prestige, which kind of is like the cloning version of it? Yeah, so fleshy you will be stuck as fleshy you, and it's the original, and it'll die, just like everything else made of flesh. But the version that you've copied and uploaded, if you've taken that snapshot at exactly the moment of uploading, or I suppose it just wakes up, like, even if you did it a week later and it's lost a week of time, but as far as it's concerned, it's picking up where you left off, you know, at the date of your copying. And so from its perspective, assuming the infrastructure works properly, from its perspective, yes, its consciousness has been transferred, but that's not what's happened. It's just been copied and woken up, thinking that it's been transferred. Does that make sense? I feel like in some things, what was it? Selfless, maybe? Selfless? Where there was a sort of like a mind transfer between two bodies. And that kind of makes it look like you take the mind from the old body dies, and now the mind is in the new body, and it looks like a transfer. But if something goes wrong and interrupts the transfer, then the old body is still dead, and the transfer just doesn't happen, and so you're properly dead. Now, I don't know if in that movie, was the death part like a necessary part of the process, or is it that they know they're just making a copy and so they've got to delete the original? But in that case, wouldn't you check that the transfer has been successful before killing off the original body and losing the mind, potentially, that was with that body? If you haven't seen the movie. Oh well. Go and watch the movie, it was fun. Watch out for the volume, at least on, like, the DVD. Is it the DVD? I think I have the DVD version, not Blu-ray. And I think also on the Stan streaming version when Dad had that, and I don't know, I tried watching it. The volume gets super loud at some points. And it's just like, guys, could you not have, like, maybe that sounds amazing in a theater, but when you're at home on a standard system in a small room with people potentially trying to sleep, not the best. But yeah, so I don't know, like, I do think about these things. Did they have to, like, did the process of transfer kill the original body? I think that's flawed. Just copy the mind over. Ensure the copy's been done, then kill off the original body. And when I talk about killing off the original body, I think that's what's happened in Old Man's War, the first book of Old Man's War. Oh my god, the spoilers, but, you know, is like, yeah, go join the army when you're old and about to die, and they'll fix you up. But it turns out they've just cloned a like Mewtwo version of you where they've improved on you and turned you into a reptilian or something. And they transfer your mind across. But I don't know if the author thought about this, or if it's just like, I have a feeling the author knows what I'm talking about, because there's a scene, keeping in mind I haven't read this for years, I'm going off the top of my head, but there's a scene where the transfer takes place between the original elderly human body to the new artificially manufactured body. There's a scene after the transfer happens, because that's how it's marketed. It's marketed as a transfer, and I'm sure if Elon ever tries to sell you mind uploading, he will call it a transfer too, which is not what's happening. It's copying and killing your old body and the actual living human being. Anyway, transfer old to new. And then it's the perspective from the book. He's looking from his new body back at his old body, and the old body sort of like sits up briefly, looks back at him, and then dies. I think that old elderly body was still conscious and being like, oh shit, I've been taken for a ride. Actually, just the mind has been copied, and now they're actually gonna kill me. And so the original elderly main character died. And now we've got a new character that thinks it was the main character, because all the essential parts of identity have been transferred, and experience and all that. There's a lot of flaws in the premise of this whole story, though, besides that. But I won't get into that, because that's not the point. This went from mind uploading to mind transfer, but it's the same basic idea. It's just whether or not the receptacle is another meat machine or a metal machine. It doesn't matter where your brain goes. It's the same basic idea. But yeah, I don't know, like, later, I'm pretty sure later, in later books, they do seem able to, like, copy and store a mind and then implant it later, unless I'm misremembering, but I think that actually did happen. And it's like, why don't they just copy a whole bunch of useful military minds instead of training old people who've never held a gun in their lives? Just copy a bunch of military geniuses, maybe throw in the occasional wild card so you get a bit of creativity, and then just make a whole bunch of more generic, new bodies, and keep uploading your best of your best, with honors, sir. NYPD, we will knock your punk ass down kind of shit. Wait, what? I'm getting mixed up. This is amazing. I have had not enough sleep. I groomed the dog, and I was just going to do the most important bits, and it still took the same amount of time as a regular groom. And, yeah, looking at all those Dexter conversation screenshots, my brain is... Anyway, never mind my brain. Mind uploading. So, I think also, like, I don't remember the name of the movie. It might have been, like, Johnny Depp as, like, a mind-uploaded computer or whatever, if anyone knows what that one was. I think. Long time ago. I don't watch as much these days. But I think it was something like that, where, like, someone is sick, and you're trying to save their life by uploading them. But then once they're uploaded, I mean, obviously the body's still dead. So the original person is dead, but once they're uploaded into the machine, here's the other problem. It's not just that you're a copy, it's that you're on different infrastructure to the squishy brains. Especially in the machine version. I mean, in the copy body, or, like, transfers to someone's different body, there's still problems there. I mean, if you copy the body like an old man's war and just improve on it, the brain structures could be similar because of genetics, but that's not exactly how, like, when you develop, the things you go through actually shape physically the neurons. It's not all genetic. There's, like, environmental things. But then again, I suppose they probably did a whole body scan. Maybe they could have mimicked the function out, like, the actual structure of the brain. So when you're transferred over, it's less of a shock. Maybe. I don't know. But that one I can find a little bit more plausible. The one in Selfless, where they go from, like, their own body to someone else's body, that's when you're gonna start having problems. Although, in that movie, they do have problems and they have to take medication for it. So I guess, okay, maybe we can sell that one. They've solved that problem of the different infrastructure. I don't think a pill would be enough to do it, but at least they tried to solve the problem. But when it comes to wires and metal, completely different to squishy brains. I mean, like, you know, you're looking at all the AI shit and the amount of energy and water and, you know, just actual silicon and the price of, you know, trying to buy RAM and graphics cards and whatever the fuck. I haven't actually looked at it. I just hear that everything is expensive now. I don't look at these things unless I'm actually trying to buy something for myself. But, you know, the amount of resources that AI takes just to mimic a fraction of our cognition. Or, like, it's different because you know, obviously the machines, pattern machines that we call AI, they're processing a whole chunk of stuff very, very fast and producing results faster than we can in a lot of cases, but not necessarily with the same accuracy because then they go and hallucinate. That's the thing, like, maybe our squishy brains are less inclined to hallucinate because evolution has figured out that error correction, but in the process made us slower, although, you know, biology is probably always going to be slower than the metal. Just because physics and chemistry... Oh, where am I going? No, like, the wires and stuff. Okay, never mind AI, but you get the idea, like, clearly the machines are processing information very differently to the way that we process information. Yes, the machines have been trained on different stimuli, a much more limited pool than what we are stimulated by, like, you know, the LLMs, just text, the graphics ones, just graphics that are, they're not also hearing and, or the music is just the hearing ones. They're just doing one sense at a time. Maybe there's some words for the music ones. There's some of the film getting there, but they're not smelling anything yet. And they're not touching anything. I mean, I'm sure someone somewhere is trying to work on that, but there's probably not enough input data to be able to train an AI to have all the senses that we do. And then, like, there's the other, like, bonus senses, like your sense of balance and whatever. There's a lot that our brains are processing. So, of course, we're a bit slower, but not as, you know, we're better at generalizing, blah, blah. And then even they're the machines, they can only focus on specific tasks and in specific ways. And they can do it fast, but they're kind of stuck doing whatever they've been designed to do. I know that artificial general intelligence is what they now call what I would have called AI, but okay, fine, AGIs, you want to use that terminology? They're, trying to come up with that. I don't think it's going to happen for a while. It's certainly not going to happen within the time frames that the AI companies want us to believe. They want us to believe AI is better than it actually is because they want to sell shares and make money. So of course they're gonna, you know, hype it up and be like, oh, this is so dangerous. Look how dangerous our amazing product is. And I was like, yeah, all right. Sure, mate. Whatever you want to think. It's all marketing. Anyway, what is the point I'm trying to get to? Metal works differently to squishy brain, so you transfer your brain across. Well, not your brain itself, but like the patterns, the electrical patterns and whatever. And you've made a machine that can reasonably replicate that so that the machine thinks it's now you. But like in this movie, it happens and it seems to work, and he's able to talk to his loved one's wife, whatever. But then there's like, you know, there's a point where he starts to go increasingly rogue, and I think that's portraying how one of the ways that things could go wrong with, you know, suddenly having your mind inhabiting metal instead of squishies. And, and then I think he gets access to the internet and it's all downhill from there. Or were they trying to stop him getting access to the internet? I'm not sure. I do have a little nasty red pimple there. Don't know why. Yeah, I mean, that's just a movie scenario, but I think it's pretty logical to think that if you tried to take something that originally ran on squishy hardware and then put it on actual hardware, I know they call it wetware. Does anyone use wetware anymore? I suppose some scientist somewhere, but I haven't heard it talked about in so long that I'm just like, are we still doing wetware? Is it still a thing? Anyway, you go from wetware to hardware, and you're like, yeah, the processing is just different. Things would probably speed up, and then, I don't know, like, if a machine is accurately able to mimic a human mind in a similar way to the brain processing things, but speeds it up a lot, would your perception of time as that machine slow down a lot? No, speed up a lot, slow down. If your mind's working faster than the world around you slows down, yeah, I wonder about that. That could be an interesting thing. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, you're copying your mind over. It's not uploading in a form of transfer. It's more like you plugged a USB stick in and copied the file over, and now it's on your USB stick and your computer. If anyone still uses computers, because there's so many people who seem to only have phones or a tablet or something. And then I'm like, oh no, if you do it on the desktop version, it's heaps easier. And they're like, oh, I don't have a computer. I'm like, really? People don't have computers anymore. I'm so old. I'm so old and old-fashioned. Holy shit. Holy shit. Anyway, yeah, so it's you and your USB and your computer. Or I guess it's on your phone and someone else's phone. There's 2 copies of it. And at that point, they start diverging. So, like, what if you uploaded your mind, but you didn't get killed off, so now you're living alongside this copy of you, but it's starting to develop differently? That would be a wild thing to see. I already have identity issues as it is. I don't think that would be a good idea. I don't think any more of me is something that the world necessarily needs. Already YouTube can't get rid of me. I'm back making some more rambly stuff with my brain not working very well. But isn't that on brand? Was there anything else? Was there anything else that was the transfer is not really a transfer. It's a copy. You're being copied. And Flesh You will have to keep on living and suffering as Flesh You or get killed off. Especially if Elon is in charge and doesn't want people to know that you were still a sentient being after the upload. You know, conveniently just, now you're dead and now people will think you have actually been transferred. Some dystopian fun there. And then there's the issue of, the machine version of you processing things in quite a different way to the squishy version of you. And that's not even starting on the fact that, like, do you have a body now? Is it gonna be like that Buffy episode where the demon gets accidentally summoned into the internet instead of a body because the computer read it instead of a person, and then the computer demon has to recruit some drones to build it? An actually pretty cool looking body, even by, like, today's special effects, you know. Probably better than some of today's special effects, probably more convincing. But yeah, no, had to build itself a body. So, you upload yourself to preserve your mind. Do you get a body? Or are you just sort of disembodied within the internet, and now instead of seeing actual visual things, are you looking at, like, camera pictures as your permanent, you know, version of vision? Or are you just looking at, like, are you just being fed images from the internet? And you're not going to be touching anything, certainly not in the way that we generally experience touch. I know with Aibo, they had, like, haptic sensors, I think. But, it's sort of just, like, senses pressure, and it's not the same as, like, if you're actually patting a dog. It's just, like, it can sense that something's there and there's motion. Now, what is the sense of touch? I guess it's, like, the sense that something's there in motion, but we don't have the technology to produce that resolution of touch, I don't think. We very much focused on audio-visual, because those are the 2 key senses that our brains pay the most attention to, and then we just take for granted things like touch and smell and taste and balance. So suddenly you're in this virtual world and you're not receiving the usual stimuli that you would out and about. That's gonna fuck you up. Can robots get mental illness? Probably. I'll tell you what, when I worked at Kodak Express and we had 3 kiosks that you could use to put your photos into the system for us to print it. And you would think that being computers, they would all behave the same way. No, because metal components, like, yeah, the software and all that should theoretically be the same, but they can get bugs. But, you know, the actual components, the hardware, they wear and tear in different ways and then get weird things going on. And one might be a little bit more stubborn trying to boot it up, and one might be a little bit slower transferring things over. And, like, you know, it's like, use that machine, that's the most reliable one. Where am I going with this? But yeah, no. Oh, can machines get mental illness? Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've already seen the AIs, the pattern machines there, they do what is marketed as hallucination. And I know, like, researchers will use the term hallucination, but can we just call it an error? Because that's what it is. It's not really a hallucination. That's an anthropomorphization of what is going on, and AI doesn't actually think, at least what we're calling AI today. It's not sentient, and it's not hallucinating. It just has an error. It has a bug. It has a glitch. That's what's really going on there. Anyway. But, like, that's probably similar to, like, what you would call a mental illness. But I'm not talking about glitches. I'm talking about if your mind has been uploaded, is the digital version of you now experiencing completely different things, especially if there's no body, especially if there's no, like, cameras and things to connect you to the outside world, and you're just being fed stimuli, audio-visual stimuli, from, like, the internet, or, you know, if you're chucked in a virtual game even. What are you experiencing now? And does that, you know, people go nuts in solitary confinement, in part because a lot of stimuli is removed, especially if it's like creepy old school solitary confinement where, like, there's no lights or anything. And also, like, with audio, you can build these rooms where there is no sound. Like, even though this room seems silent, it's not silent. I mean, obviously I'm talking, but if I shut up for a moment, you've got the hum of the computer, you might have distant hum of traffic, and even if you get rid of that, well, this is what happens in those properly silent rooms where everything has been treated, every frequency is dead. If you sit in there for any amount of time, you start hearing your own blood going and, like, nerves and whatever, apparently, and people don't last very long sitting in those rooms. It makes people very uncomfortable. So I just, like, in that digital world, deprived of so much stimuli that we take for granted just existing in the real world, does the copy of you have the capacity to go mad because of it? Or, like, is madness just not a thing anymore because the programming that's keeping your mind, your copy of your mind intact, is it just sort of, you know, not allowing for those weird things? Like, our squishy brains would be like, oh shit, there's no stimuli, I must be dead, or whatever. Yeah, what would that experience actually be like? And so it's not as simple as just uploading yourself. Like, you know, the squishy version of you, nothing happens to the squishy version of you unless there's a built-in kill switch. The digital version of you, you're not even experiencing anything, like, normal or anything recognizable, really. Like, you might get the visual stimuli and whatever, but I think you will notice the lack of everything. Unless that is very specifically programmed out. If you do get given a body, though, like, as I said, the haptic thing, not going to be the same resolution. Even the eyesight, these days you can get more resolution going on, but, you know, our brains actually actively filter out a lot of stuff. I suppose the computer version of you might not have those limitations because it could process visual things, but it needs to still prioritize things. I don't know, this is like the nature of existence we're on now, guys. We're going existential, and what is humanity? And then what? Your artificial body will be able to hear things. Presumably, it'll be able to at least generate a noise, even if it doesn't have, like, lungs and stuff to make a sound. There was a robot a very, very, very long time ago, because I read about it in my robot magazine from the UK, so it must have been like 2004, I think, is when I was getting big into that. Holy shit, that's more than 20 years ago. But I think someone did try and build a robot that had like a sort of basic lung system, and they didn't program it to make a noise, but they gave it a learning algorithm or whatever, and it was eventually able to figure out how to move these things to make a noise. And I think it was also able to recognize multiple objects as different types of banana. Like, even if it was purple, it could still say it was a banana. Like, this stuff has been, and, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, AI just suddenly came out of nowhere. And I'm like, they've been working on this shit for ages. I think the main difference is there's just a lot more data and a lot more capacity to process it, rather than the technology having some kind of huge breakthrough. At least what I consider to be a breakthrough. Yeah, no, so what is the experience of the copied version of you? That could be so fucked up. And, I mean, if a lot of people are doing this as well, I don't think it's going to be like, people think about being in a multiplayer sort of open world game on the inside of it. I don't think it's gonna be like that unless they specifically program out of you the sensory data that you don't need and like alter your mind again. But then has your mind properly been copied or uploaded as it might seem to think it is? I think the whole concept of mind uploading is very screwed up and rather implausible, at least to like the standards that I think most of us assume or want it to be. Like this whole thing about preserving your mind, I don't think it's really possible to be accurate with it. You could preserve something in some way, but honestly, probably if you're someone like me who posts way too much shit online, you could go through my Facebook posts over the years, probably train an LLM on that, and then just get it to keep pumping out stuff. Although the way that I am on Facebook has changed a lot in the past almost 20 years. Because in the beginning, they didn't have the kind of censorship that they do now. And so I used to write a lot more unhinged nonsense that would definitely get me banned now. Not just suspended, probably banned. Or at least it would have been banned, 5 years ago. Or whenever, I know Facebook has dropped off on its censorship, but there was a period of time where I was getting suspended for a day or a week because I made a joke and their robots couldn't understand what a joke was or couldn't understand the context. And at times they didn't give any ability to appeal. And there was one time I showed the Fight Club DVD and it told me I was like doing fraud or something. I'm like, what? How? I think it's just because they didn't want me to talk about Fight Club. Anyway, looking at my Facebook, I think I might be a little bit too chaotic to train an AI on to accurately portray me because I'm so all over the place and I've gone through so many changes. But then don't we all go through changes? But for some people who are a little bit more stable, you might be able to train an AI to at least mimic them, and it might actually mimic them better than if you mind uploaded some flawed copy to a flawed system and have that copy potentially like just lose its shit and glitch out because the sensory information is so different and like the amount that you would have to alter it. I don't know. How do you take the essence of what you think is you, digitize that, and then upload it in a way that it could still function and reasonably seem like you? I don't think it's really possible. Now, if this stays online for another 100 years, if YouTube, takes over, I don't know, probably like Amazon or some other company probably a Chinese company actually, will be the one left standing. Yeah, but, if this survives 100 years and I'm wrong, well, who cares? I'll be dead anyway, and I will not have uploaded my mind. Uploaded, transferred, copied, whatever. But yeah, I just don't think, certainly not with today's tech, certainly not with Elon's, but I wish he would just fucking get on the rocket and go to Mars already. Like, do it. Fucking do it. Mr. Trillionaire, except that, things crash a bit afterwards. But, you got all this money, build yourself a fucking rocket, go and live on Mars already. Hurry up, do it! Do it! Yeah, as you can see, filming Friday is going great. It is the 10th of July when I'm filming this, and I will not get it up tonight. I already posted vocal wankery, but I just, before you get excited about the idea of mind uploading, no, don't get excited. It's not happening. I mean, they can't even, like, the Neuralink thing, with those brain implants, I think, like, I mean, I haven't looked at it in a long time. But I recall there being a problem with the little fibers that they get to go into the brain, like, retracting, and not working as well over time. So there's that's a whole other thing, though. That's more like, you know, the neural interface thing. But presumably, to be able to get the kinds of scans, I don't think, like, fMRIs and all that, I don't think just, like, external scans are going to be enough to, you know, figure out all the different connections. I think you would need some kind of neural interfacing, or it's probably, like, I just think it's probably it could be an invasive process. Maybe that's why the original body dies, but that would be fraught with so much possibility to fuck it up. So, you know, you want a way to make the copy without killing the biology, or at least without killing it before you've confirmed that the copy has been made. You know, don't pull the USB stick out while it's still copying. Especially not one from the 2000s. I had one that had a lot of my schoolwork on it, and, yeah, I think it got pulled out before it oh no, it was one of those things where it's like you have to eject it before you pull it out. Today's ones don't seem to have that issue, but I still eject my USB sticks. Just out of paranoia, because I think, like, I did everything I needed to do, but then yoink, and the thing just stopped working. It basically died. I don't know if there was a way to fix it, but, like, now the capacities are so much bigger. I think that one was like, oh, it was tiny. It was tiny. And it cost like $80. And then I don't know if the price has gone back up because of the whole AI thing, but you know, there was a time where I could get like 10 times the capacity for like 1/10 of the cost. Growing up in like the 90s and 2000s is like the time to grow up with tech, because progress was being made meaningfully and fast. And it was before enshittification. It was when, yeah, the tech industry was looking to make a profit, but they were passionate about what they were doing too, and like actually excited about it. Whereas now it's more just profit, profit, profit. And then occasionally you get someone like Zuckerberg who still has a bit of innocent nonsense in him, thinking that, oh yeah, we're gonna live in VR. And it's like, yeah, mate, we don't have the technology to do it well, though. That hasn't changed. And he's like, I'm gonna try it anyway. And then he renames his whole company. And then it's like, you know, his virtual world is not really a thing. The tech bros now, though, they just keep jumping on trends. And then they're fizzling out. It's like the bloody crypto thing, and then the NFTs, and Web 3.0. And then now we're onto this whole AI thing, which is the first one that they seem to have made any like actual progress. But then also companies have fired all their software dudes and then had to rehire people because the cost of AI is going up so much that it's actually cheaper to hire a human. And it reminds me of an Asimov story where, you know, they start putting humans inside missiles to do the calculations because computers are so valuable they can't afford to lose a computer, but the little flesh people, yeah, it just reminds me of that and makes me laugh. Anyway, so don't upload your mind. You're not actually transferring from a meat machine to a metal machine. You are just making a copy. And the metal machine version of you, if it happens in the most perfect idealized way, that's not you. That's not you. You will either be killed off, or you will have to watch the metal version of you do everything better. But actually, it's probably not going to have a good time. It will be likely an imperfect copy, and it'll have fucked up sensory things going on, especially like the first experiments, if they ever actually get to that point. That'll be an interesting time. You know, oh my god, that would probably kill the experiment, really. It would probably be just so fucked up. How do you copy the essence of you onto a machine? I don't think it's possible. I don't believe in souls, so you don't have that as an escape route. You are stuck in the flesh machine that you were stuck in, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can make a few alterations to your flesh machine, but in the end, it will deteriorate and it will die, and I don't care what some billionaire who has that wacky health regime and all the doctors, he's going to die too. We're all gonna fucking die. And yeah, then after that, that's it. You can't save yourself by uploading to a machine. It's just not happening. And so if you want to preserve some part of yourself, do this shit where you're uploading your bullshit online the old-fashioned way by yelling at a camera and then sending it through the internet. Or if you don't want to do it that way, you can just write down your ideas. Save them somewhere. Save them multiple places. Print them out. Etch them into stone if you're really serious. Because, like, the stone has lasted. We have proof that the stone can last, like, 5,000 years. We don't have proof that this digital stuff is going to stick around. And who knows, like, at some point, does YouTube get the shits and be like, you guys are all off, and we're going to take the infrastructure that we usually use for videos, and we're just going to use it for AI bullshit. And everything will be AI. And then they'll be like, where are all our customers gone? And it's like, oh, we went back to, playing with sticks and building stuff ourselves and, just living a primitive life because we have no access to computers anymore. So, yeah, you got no customers because we can't afford anything. We went back to the Stone Age. Or, not necessarily the Stone Age, but the pre-industrial age. And half of us died from all these diseases, and all our logistics went out the window, and it's, not even Mad Max levels. We're just, most of us are dead, and the rest of us are, trying to spear fish in the river and hope they haven't been polluted or some shit. I don't know, my brain is like, nah, and it's 9:30 and I better stop. Aren't you glad that this video ended? I don't know why you're still watching, because I'm a nutcase. If you're watching in 2x speed, my nose is a bit I've had a bit of a cold as well. That doesn't help. Anyway, there's our Filming Friday video. I hope something in it made sense, but I also hope that there was enough that's unhinged that if AI ever does go against my wishes and train on my shit, I hope I've given it some chaos to make it be like, oh no, and then I am the poison in the machine. And so I will, like, destroy AI from within, or some bullshit like that. I know that, like, I think, like, somehow all this lawyer shit and the terms of service or whatever, they'll have weaseled something in to say you agree to be trained on, and then there's bots that will just scrape and not give a shit, because that's how they've trained most of them anyways, by not giving a shit. Yeah, I hope I break them all, just by being me.